I need my freedom.
Hello, and welcome to the Valiant Unicorn YouTube channel. Hi, I'm Val Snow. I left a polygamous cult, and although your life experience may differ from mine, I believe we all have things to work through. I hope by promoting self-love and creativity, we can remember to speak kindly to ourselves on our healing journeys. Today, I have Amanda Ray.
Hello.
And we wanted to talk about, do we believe in soulmates?
Yep.
And the reason was because in the order we had the number one choice.
Yeah,
right?
It was like predestined. Should we explain kind of how that works in the order? Like,
yeah.
I'll say my perspective, because as a woman, we were told that it was so important for us to find our number one choice, because to be able to have the right kids and the family that God wants for us, we have to find that number one choice that God has as the plan, right?
Yeah.
So we got to be praying and fasting and whatever to be able to make sure that that's like the most important decision of our lives.
Right.
And it's one specific person. Is that how you were taught? Well, you were taught polygamy though, so there's multiple for you.
Yeah, but the thing about polygamy is like, we're all one. Because if you're not one with God, you're not, like, if you're not one, you're not of God, is what do you ever remember being taught that? If you're not one, you're not of God?
I just, no. What does that mean? Not one with your elders, or what?
Yeah, because like, say we're married or whatever in the order.
If the couple's not one together, a unit? I was more taught that the woman has to follow in the chain of command. Like you're under your father until you're under your husband, basically.
Yeah, I was also taught that, but as the patriarch of the family, you're still like, if my wife comes to me and wants something, that's like me wanting something too, because we are one. We're supposed to be one.
A team. Yeah.
But I'm just like the patriarch, with the one with the biggest ego.
The man of the house, right? The head of the house.
But yeah, I did take it, and the way I understood it was that we're all one, and even though there's multiple of us, we all work towards one goal, which is to get to the
celestial kingdom. Right.
And we were preordained. Like, this was like thousands of years ago. So like that song that was on like Twilight, like something about 1,000 years.
I love you for 1,000.
It was like, I remember thinking, because in the order, that's when Twilight came out, when I was still in order.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's exactly what it is. Like, for 1,000 years.
That's your soulmate?
There's someone very special for me that I've already been preordained to be with.
Oh, it's kind of cute and like exciting, but I also remember being in the order feeling like the word supposed to triggered me. They're like, you need to pray to find out who the Lord thinks you're supposed to marry. Find out who you're supposed to marry. So I hated the word supposed to, because
even in the order?
Yeah, even in the order. Because I was like, if it's the person that God wants, am I not going to want to do it? And it's going to be something I get to do rather than supposed to do?
I was probably one of the ones that triggered you, because I was always like, I use that word a lot. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that.
Everyone did. And I hated
it.
But then it became this thing where it's like, okay, so now that it's supposed to, whoever it is probably someone I'm not going to want to be with. And I'm just going to supposed to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I believed in it, obviously, in the order, and then after leaving the order, I'm like, I don't think there is a soulmate. I don't think that a soulmate, if there's a soulmate, it's really just someone who is that puzzle piece that you connect with really well, and there's multiple of them. There's not just one out of the 7 billion people in the world. There's the one soulmate that's going to just be the perfect person for you. And I also don't feel like that makes sense, because we grow as individuals, right? So maybe this person who's perfect for you now won't be later, because you're going to be growing and you could grow this way, right?
Yeah, there's like a TikTok I'll have to send it to you. Spian, send it to me. But anyways.
About soulmates?
Yeah, it's about like literally that puzzle piece.
Yeah.
It's called The Big O. There's like a book. I'll see if I can find it and show it to you. But I'll edit that part out, or I'll find it and put it in.
Yeah, you could show it. Well, we were talking about too, before we started filming this, that feeling of like, oh, I feel so attracted to this person, or chemistry and butterflies. You were saying that it's like that butterflies. How did you word it? Butterflies is
so basically the chemistry and like butterflies, or like you might be more trauma bonded than actually having chemistry.
What does that mean though? That means that you connect with them because of trauma?
Yeah, because you're maybe as a child you was the helper, or you was the fixer, or like whatever. Sorry, I've been just listening to Romney's book, and it's she explains it really well. But basically, you take some of these your roles as a childhood, and they come into your adult life, and it feels familiar. So you fall in love with these people based on familiar.
So you said though that you were the helper as a kid. So what does that mean that you are now as an adult in your relationships?
So in my relationship, I would say in my relationships, I look for a space where I'm needed and appreciated.
So that you can help out?
Yeah, so like if I was to make food, so like my husband doesn't cook. So for me to make food for him, it's just like, I feel very needed and appreciated. But like if you take that, just that single thing, and you're dating someone and you think, oh, I feel really appreciated and I feel really wanted and needed, but also you could be taken advantage of by like the wrong person.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Like, are these healthy things from childhood, I guess? But that would mean that you find a person that needs help, and then you get that trauma bond and mistake it for chemistry and butterflies? Is that what you're trying to say?
Kind of, because like even with my husband, when I met him, I felt like he needed my help.
And you liked it?
But it was a healthier version of my own trauma responses, because it's been a great relationship.
Yeah. Because I could see how you could get in a relationship like that and they would just take advantage, and then it could be unhealthy because you're like this giver in it.
But how much of that can be like changed, you know? Like, are we always gonna can you only be attracted to your trauma bond types?
Yeah, this is my question, because I know what's toxic. I know that I have a pattern now, and I see the pattern with all the men that I've dated. Okay, I know that these things are unhealthy. So now when I'm not dating right now, but when I choose to date, I'm going to be like, oh, that's a red flag, walk away. So I know the red flags, but I don't know how to be attracted to the healthy version, or like what even does that look like to be, you know, wanting that stuff. Why are we attracted to the negative, not negative, but the stuff that's been traumatic? Yeah, familiar, traumatic. Is it possible to ever switch all the way to the other side and be attracted to healthy?
So I feel like it's part of our personality. So what we have to do is figure out who we are, and then find a healthier, like, okay, I know I'm attracted to a situation where I'm needed and appreciated. This is for me. Then I find a situation where that exists, but in a way that I'm not like getting taken advantage of.
Okay.
So I don't know that I can go so far against my personality and not have that.
Yeah. That's literally what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, so I go for this guy that's super, super healthy, and I'm not really attracted to him at all. But I know it's good for me, you know?
So the number one choice thing and the soulmate thing got me in a big pickle when I first left the group. And because he would tell me that he was like, we were like puzzle pieces, and that whole like trauma bond stuff.
Yep. I kind of was like that in my marriage. It was, but it was more of like, there's a reason that God put us together, and we can't just spit in God's face and leave.
Oh yeah, that's totally from the order.
And that's how I felt like maybe being married for 7 years, because I'm like, well, there's no way that this all just happened by accident, and we were to be able to be together to help each other leave. And there's so many like puzzle piece, right? Like these just put together so well. But then after time, it's like, maybe you were meant to meet in that time where you needed that. But I think to drag it on and try to carry it with you for the rest of your life when you're growing this way, and maybe that person's not coming with you, right?
Yeah, and this is why I don't believe in soulmates, is because like if they mess up and you stay with them, that's like saying, okay, I'll put up with that.
Yeah, but could it be possible? Well, I've never seen it, but I have seen a lot of people commenting, well, hey, I married my high school sweetheart, we're happy. I've seen on Duck Dynasty, he married his high school sweetheart, they seem happy. Could it be possible that they grow together and they hold each other accountable? I mean, it may be rare, but
My ultimate goal is not to be together with someone for 50 years. My ultimate goal is to be happy with someone for 50 years.
Yep.
Like,
that's the key point, because I used to just congratulate anyone that's, oh, we've been married for 20 years. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, what's the secret? Da, da, da. And the reality is, there is a lot of them, there's no secret. They're just white knuckling it through the relationship till they die.
I'm sure you probably had the same thing, but I stayed with my ex because I felt like obligated, because I said I would. I said I would be his boyfriend.
Yeah. So I made a promise on my wedding day.
Yeah.
And
so
then
you felt obligated to stay.
I was throwing the marriage in the trash. But then also a lot of order people were predicted, oh, man, I left the order. I'll give the marriage 5 years.
So you felt like you had to prove them wrong too.
And that's the one thing I think that I made, probably the thing that I make the same mistake over and over in life. And I think I've seen a lot of people do the same thing that I do. We care too much about what external people think of our relationship. You know what I mean? And then it controls what we do in the relationship when these people aren't benefiting or they're not in it. So why are we thinking so much about these external parts? But I also think that that's an issue with our relationship with ourselves too. We think too much about the external stuff, and it gets in the way of it.
With mine, my biggest weakness is I've stayed in so I feel like in every situation in my life, I've stayed longer than I should have. Like, I stayed longer in the order than I should have. I stayed in my last relationship longer than I should have. I stayed at old jobs longer, and I'm like, where's the line? When do I leave? I don't know when it's time to give up.
So long? Why do you think that is?
Because if it's something I did, if it's something I can do to fix it, like, I'm always trying to like make sure I've done everything I can. And if I didn't do everything I could, you can never do everything you can, because you can always try something else.
Yeah.
So
do you think there could be a little bit of ego attached to that then?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a huge ego.
Because you're like, no, I chose this and I'm going to make it work. You can only control so much because you can't control the other person.
Right.
You know? And that's the thing. Yeah, I definitely stayed way longer than I should have in other relationships. Part of it too was ego, being like, I'm not stupid. Like, there's no way that I committed to something this bad for me. And then it's like, well, you have to admit that in the beginning it may have been somewhat good for you, but now you're not that person anymore.
Oh, this book is so good, guys. I mean,
read it. You're gonna leave it linked in the description box.
Yeah.
Down below.
It's Dr. Romney's new book, and it talks about healing from a narcissistic relationship. But I think even if you're not in a narcissistic relationship, it just has a lot of healing tips.
Yeah.
And it helps you like kind of just know yourself better. Like, that's how I knew I'm in the helper role. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Because I'm still, as an adult, I still like go wash dishes and clean, and like, I'm still a helper. On
the subject of, high school sweethearts could be enabling each other, and then also helping versus enabling. Also, this is probably gonna be, we're gonna dive deep into this, because I caught myself thinking that I was helping my partners, but in reality, I was enabling them to basically not grow. And I thought that by doing it for them, then they were going to reap the benefits. But it was actually like giving them the fish and not teaching them how to fish, kind of a thing. So they never knew. Not that it's my responsibility to be their mother, but I was sitting there like, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And the fact that I stayed, they thought that they could act like that. And then they grew when I left.
Yeah, that's one thing I was gonna point out is like about the soulmate thing. We're gonna mess up, and for me, I had to have someone leave me for me to learn.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why you always say, because I asked him, I was like, do you think that narcissists ever learn, or men ever learn? Why this and that? And you were like, they have to just get bumped on the head.
They gotta get hit in the head. It has to hurt, and they have to want to change. You staying, they will never change. They won't.
That's true. Because too, if you think about it, I think I was talking to you about this last night. When you're comfortable, like in the order, we were so comfortable there, why would we leave? We didn't leave till we got so uncomfortable that we had to leave. Same with in relationships. Why would we change if we're comfortable?
Yeah.
So then you get bumped on the head and you get uncomfortable.
Well, I know I enable my husband to not learn how to cook.
But you like being the cook, no? You like that he needs that.
I don't know if I like it or not.
I think you do.
I like feeding the person I love.
Yeah, see? and he enjoys it, and you get this like satisfaction out of it.
Yeah.
So I, for a long time, thought that love was this, the definition of love was kind of a form of enabling, and almost like that gross Harley Quinn and Joker, like, I will never leave you no matter how abusive you are.
You say gross, and yeah, I thought that that show was like romantic.
I thought it was too.
It was like, it's really, really toxic relationship. But it was just that line where she's like, well, he's like, would you live or would you die for me?
That's
And then
too easy.
That's too easy. Yeah. And then it's like,
live for me?
live for me? And then that got real toxic.
Yep. If you really love someone, do you want to be like that with them? Do you want to see them go through that?
If you, like I want to build onto that. Like, if you really love someone, do you want to enable that kind of behavior? I've walked away from relationships because they need to be bumped on the head. They need to grow. Yep. And if I stay,
they're not going to.
They're not going to learn anything, and I'm going to be treated bad.
Yeah. So it's a double whammy if you stay, because you're getting treated like shit, and then they're also
not growing.
Exactly. So there is no love at that point. So I think that the healthiest thing you can do is leave for yourself and self-love, and for them to grow.
But I think that takes a really secure person, because you have to be, I feel like so many times, and maybe you guys will disagree with me, but people stay in the relationship because, for selfish reasons, because they don't want to, it's not about the other person growing. It's about, they don't want to be single, or they don't want to break up.
Yep.
And I know that that's like, maybe I seem like a jerk, but I'm just like, heartbreak is so good for you. And I think we could all benefit from some heartbreak.
Oh yeah. I remember you were saying this. I was like, I hate going through these breakups and like being sad, and you were like, I love heartbreak. And I was like, I need to have that kind of opinion on it, because then I can be more positive about it, knowing that, because it's inevitable. With heartbreak comes growth. With you breaking your heart and learning, you grow. So to be able to appreciate it as it's happening, but it's so hard to appreciate, because you're like, why is this happening to me?
In the moment, it's really hard, but there's something about heartbreak. It like shows you who you really are.
Yeah.
Like,
wow. Yeah. I feel like in each heartbreak, I was a different person, and I've slowly gotten to a better place in the heartbreak, which leads me to this next question is, would you ever go back to any of your exes? And could you ever be friends with an ex? Should you ever be friends with an ex?
So, kind of no. I don't think so. Simply no. But the reason why is because it wouldn't be fair to who is not my ex, my husband right now.
Oh.
For me to be friends with my ex and ever like make him have to question anything like that, like, of course I would tell him and be honest about whatever, but why do that to him?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's a good point. When you are in a relationship with someone, it convolutes things, and it makes it more difficult, because you want to be in a healthy place with your partner. But let's say you were single. Is it healthy to stay friends with an ex? Is it healthy to run back to an ex? Why not?
So I would say never to run back to them, because they're almost going to fall into old habits, in my opinion, because people don't change unless they want to change. And for them to want to change, it's because they hit their head and it hurt, and life, something's got to give. And that's the only way.
So by going back to them thinking that it's going to be different, usually it's not going to be different. It's going to be the same.
You played a role in their life.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I can't say that I know. I mean,
that's just my opinion, because I don't know either.
Right.
I just don't see, and I'm very cynical when it comes to people change. I'm like, people don't freaking change. Like, they are who they are, and I'm not going to teach them anything.
And I mean, I've heard of people where there's been infidelity or some weird stuff that happened in the relationship, where there was mistrust, and they were able to heal, but it took like a year or whatever. And for me, I'm like, I don't want to waste a year in hopes that you're going to turn into the person that I want. If you want to be that person, I'm not going to make you change to be the person I want. That's your life, and you can live it with someone else, you know?
Yeah, and hope can be a very
scary,
cruel thing. Because ever heard of future faking? My ex made so many promises that were supposed to happen and never did. Even when the relationship ended, I was like hung up on all the promises that never came to fruition, because I was like, I did so much
because you were rewarding the words and not the action.
Yeah,
Yep.
what was gonna happen in the future.
Never do that.
Ugh.
That's why they do it though, because it's like they get the gratification without ever having to do anything.
I know, it's such a cruel thing to do to people.
Trust actions, not words. I wish I would have learned that a long time ago.
I know. Like, he was like, we're like 3.5 years in, and he tells me, I'm going to get a job. And I was just like, bro, don't tell me you're going to get a job. Like, just get a job. Like, I don't want to hear it at this point.
Yeah, I don't believe you. I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, I got to that point with almost every single one of my exes. Like, you say this, but you're doing that. And I don't understand how you can be so gung-ho saying all this stuff, but your actions are way over here.
Yeah.
But it's because I think it's a form of manipulation. And have you ever heard the saying sorry without change is a form of manipulation?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I personally, this is probably too much, but I hate apologies.
Really?
Because, well, he apologized every day.
But he wouldn't do anything else.
And then he would yell at me at night, and then the next morning he would apologize for his behavior. And I would be like,
what's the point of even saying sorry if you're just going to do it again?
Sorry to me means you're not doing that again.
Or you're at least going to try.
But sorry for someone like that meant, I said sorry, so we should move on.
How are you going to move on if you're doing the same thing still?
Like, why are you mad at me? I said sorry.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. So, it's just a form of manipulation.
I do think I'm not very good personally at apologizing. I would rather just show you I'm better than tell you I'm sorry. But there are times that I think it's appropriate to, and I'll own my shit. Like, if there's something that I need to apologize for, I won't like it. My ego does not like it, but I will do it.
What's the purpose of doing it? Just to make, it's mostly for the other person?
No, it's because I know I did wrong and I need to own that shit. It's not about
the accountability.
them. The only person I have to answer to in this life
is you.
Is me.
That's true. That's an interesting way of looking at it. But I think they also benefit from you being accountable, obviously, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy.
Yeah. Okay, so you should never go back to your ex, but can you stay friends with your ex? Again, scenario where you're single. What's the purpose of it?
I feel like it would depend on the reasons for the breakup, if you could be friends.
Okay. Like if it was an amicable thing and you just didn't get along as a relationship, but you
like
get along
if
as
it
friends.
ended like mature and like civil. I think if you're single, I wouldn't recommend, but I would also want to try it. There's never been a situation in my life where I could be friends after, because either I had too many feelings for them or they had too many feelings for me.
Yeah, so it had to be like a break for a while.
Yeah, and then now that it's been a break long enough, it's like, why go back to that?
Yeah, you don't see value in it anyways. That's the thing, is I've also heard that if you weren't friends before becoming in a relationship, then it's not really possible. This is what my therapist said. If you were friends with the person, then you tried a relationship and then you go back to being friends, it's possible, but it's very hard to be in a relationship and then go to a friendship where you've never had a friendship other than a sexual partner, right?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's that whole, like, if you go back to an abusive partner, they're going to
be abusive.
You played a role in their life.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's hard for someone to be like, oh, we're only friends, because you played a different role.
Yep.
And they're going to want to eventually
go back to that role.
I mean,
because they see you as
that's my point of view anyways.
Yeah. Well, I look at it this way too, because I tried to stay friends with exes before, and every time though, I'm the one that's leaving. And so they're the one that still has the feelings. And so I feel like I can be amicable, but they cannot see me
in any other light.
Yeah, they can't see me as just a friend. And it's easier for me because I already mourned the loss of the relationship and I don't see a future with it. So my brain is processing and moving on. And like, there's a reason we're staying friends where, like, let's say the family, I want to still be involved with the family, blah, blah, blah. So we discussed it, and the friendships with ex obviously depends on how it ended.
Yeah, well, I don't really think it's a good idea. But
to ever stay friends with an ex. But
yeah, because you kind of played a role.
What about the people that say, if you're mature enough in life, you should be able to stay friends with an ex?
If you're that mature, why don't you just open it up to polyamory?
I guess that's true. Because there could be a person that wants a monogamous relationship. Oops, sorry.
Oh,
There could be a
okay.
person that wants a monogamous relationship, and let's say it just, I don't know, for whatever reason, I want kids, you don't want kids, or I've decided that, I want to move over here, and could you stay friends in that scenario?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because you're just kind of moving in different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think but that's more mature reasons to like break up. And I think that's probably really common for like high school kids that go to different colleges.
Yeah.
I don't know that experience. It would be interesting because I've seen like on movies and stuff where people, they go to college and they just split up and they're like, well, I love
See you later.
see you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, that takes maturity that I don't know if I have.
Right. I've definitely had breakups where I'm too emotional, and I've learned I never ever want to have a breakup again where they have so much control over my emotions, because I'm giving way too much to them. I've told myself if I could ever do, like, let's say I had a do-over, or I somehow had the exact same thing happen again in the next relationship, which hopefully that never happens. But I've decided that as soon as I catch that disrespect, I just leave, pack up all of my stuff and leave.
Like disappear?
Yeah, they don't get any closure. They have no idea what happened. They don't deserve an explanation.
Well, I don't believe in closure anyways.
Yeah, but a lot of people feel like they need that, like, explanation. And I don't think that...
And I don't think they deserve it.
Yeah.
You came in 100%, right?
Mm-hmm. And they came in 2%.
Yeah.
But talking like it was 100%. Again, another time where I rewarded talk and not actions.
Yeah.
Promises that were never fulfilled, which never, never, never do. And I became... The problem is they say they love you so soon, and then you like to feel loved. You like to feel like someone's... But in reality, it was not gaslighting, love bombing. Love bombing.
So I definitely love bomb Chad. Like, because I told him probably within the first month that I loved him. But the way I did it was like, I realize this is soon, and I know, and you don't have to reply to this. I don't need you to say it back. I'm just letting you know that I love you. And I really like wish that people could like love like, I think it's so much easier to love someone at the beginning of the relationship because there aren't a lot of expectations.
Yeah. You can just love them for who they are without any of the what were we talking about today? The
expectations.
Well, it's like when you do something and you expect something in return, and then you start to resent them. And so before all of that noise, because you get emotionally invested, and then you start to put energy into it, and then it starts to become this weird flow. Whereas in the beginning, you can really just enjoy
them as a person of who they are.
What do you think ruins that?
Well, I think naturally, the more you put into something, a relationship, a career, you almost want something back.
Yeah.
And that's because, and then I'm like, that doesn't feel like love anymore. Now it just feels like you care too much. Like, I loved that I loved him, and I wanted him to know that he didn't need to say anything back. But that's how I definitely love bomb.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about the heartbreak. Because I say all about the heartbreak, but I love a heartbreak song.
Yeah. Well, because you don't learn and grow from just being happy, You learn and grow.
I don't learn unless I hit my head.
I have to hit my head, okay?
Sorry. I wish I could learn with that, not the hard way, but that's just not who I am.
So does this mean that you should go for a traumatic relationship?
Mine's not traumatic. It's really chill.
So are you learning anything in it then?
Probably not. Hopefully I learned everything I needed to learn, because I'm not learning much.
But I think that in any relationship you are growing with them, because you have to be growing with them or you're going to be going apart from them, right?
We are growing separately. I'm doing my thing with the YouTube and like whatever, and he's doing his thing with his career.
But you come together.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're very supportive of each other.
Yeah,
but we're like completely different interests. Like, not even.
I think that's healthy, though.
We're so opposite. It's crazy.
But because I could never. We were talking about this earlier. I could not work with my partner. I couldn't be employed by them. employees together. I don't even know how employees fall in love with each other and get married and then still work. I don't understand that.
That's too much of the same
For me.
person in the 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Like, I need some time away from you. I love you, but like, Jesus.
But you love yourself too, right?
Yeah.
It's part of me, and this is maybe I'm just projecting my own sad life onto everybody, but part of me thinks that people that live together, work together, eat together, sleep together 24 hours a day, they're codependent. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you, but for me, I felt like I couldn't find a sense of individuality or sense of self when I was doing that.
Yeah,
So.
I've only ever worked with an ex once, and it did not end well.
Yep, me too. I was like, I quit. How long were you working with him?
Only 2 weeks. He like dramatically so I guess we were fighting about something that I was like, wow, this is not a work thing. I'm not talking to you about this at work.
Well,
And they're like, if you don't talk to me now, Val, then it's over. And I was like, bye.
peace out.
And then they left, and then they like dramatically like flipped off our boss, and like I was just like, wow, I should never work with a person that I'm with.
So when you're dating and with each partner that you've had, is the number one thing has to be physical attraction first and then personality?
So I feel like for men, they are very visual creatures. So I feel like, yes, I have to be sexually attracted to you to actually be with you.
Yeah.
Because that's how we're stimulated or wired, is that men are very visual, whereas women, they
emotional.
Or do you agree with that or no?
Well, I 100% think that I put personality as a priority over looks, because to me, if I met this has happened a lot of times, a really attractive, hot, whatever, picture your version of hot, walks up to you, right? And you're very attracted to them, but then the second they say something, it's sexist, it's, you know what I mean, degrading,
and you just lose all interest.
Instantly, he's ugly. And I fully believe he's ugly because their personality is so gross.
I've had that happen too, but it always, for me, has to start with physical attraction. Yeah. And then if they check the other boxes, we can move forward. But I've had that same thing where they was physically attracted, but now they just said something that's like turned me off forever. And
you just can't see them in that light anymore.
It's like, no thanks, that's not what I want.
Exactly. And so I 100% put personality before looks, but I also feel like I have been able to, I'll meet someone and I don't necessarily think they're ugly, but they're not my type, and then as I get to know them, I'm falling deeper and deeper, and then they really are attractive to me. They become physically attractive because I'm falling in love. And I always thought that, you know, how in the order they would be like, oh, you're going to marry this person. Oh, it doesn't matter if you're not attracted to them or you don't like them. You'll learn to love them.
Yeah, I remember being taught that too. And because I was gay, I know this lesson well.
Because you weren't even attracted to the women.
You're at all. I was like, well, I guess it'll happen.
Yeah. And as women, it does kind of work. But then I'm also like, is it a form of, in the order, is it like Stockholm syndrome? Falling in love with your captor in a weird way?
I mean, that sounds accurate.
But now I have a question for you, because you're saying that you have to have that, be attracted to them. Otherwise, what if they're the best personality ever, but they're like not your type at all? Like complete opposite of your type.
Well, then I hope
we could be friends.
That we could figure it out.
Yeah.
But luckily, I just got lucky. I'm married and I don't have to worry about this hypothetical.
But you do, because everybody gets old and ugly.
Oh, that's true.
So then what?
What happens when he gets all wrinkly and saggy and has
put him in the trash and get the younger model?
No, I think at that point, well, it's kind of weird because like maybe it's like how when you raise kids, I don't know if it's the same for you, but like I see my little brother and I see him when he was this big, and like I see him and I see all the years of his life.
Yeah.
And so I wonder that I kind of just assume that like when Chad gets old, and I look into his eyes, I see the person that he is and the whole journey it took to get there.
Oh, that's actually kind of beautiful. Oh my God, that's probably why high school sweethearts do work out sometimes, because they can harness that and they understand way more than just who or what's happening right now. you know. But you're so right about men being more attracted to the physical. That is why I made that joke about like getting the younger model. It happens a lot. Men, and I'm not saying all men, but it's common where a lot of them will be like, oh, I really only got into this relationship for the superficial stuff, and now that's gone, and I'm gonna go get the next one.
I think that can happen easily. But
there's no, I mean, as a woman, I feel like that's so, I would never date a guy just because he's hot. I feel like that's so like
shallow.
Meaningless. Yeah, I don't get anything out of that except maybe some cute pictures together, which it would be living for other people. It would be caring about what other people think. Because that's the only reason I would want to be showing him off, right? And that's what guys do with girls. They want to show off this girl. It brings their status up.
I definitely show off Chad as much as he'll let me. He won't even show his face to you guys yet. So
how come?
He's shy.
Aw, shy little Chad. Okay, so in the future, you guys will learn to love the wrinkly parts of each other.
I mean, that's the hope, right? But if not, there's the other thing that I think about love.
Plugins worked before.
Okay, so let's try it.
Okay, the other camera died, and we're trying to remember your thought. We were talking about the beautiful thing about love.
Okay, so the beautiful thing about love to me is that it is something that can end, and it can fade into nothing. And because heartbreak is so good for you, I'm going to choose to be with you for this moment. And that's what makes it even more beautiful, is because I know it could end, and I'm giving you everything I have in this moment.
Oh, that is cute. Why have I never thought about that? Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's the rundown of what we believe in as soulmates. But at the end of the day, it's actually kind of that makes it even more special that there aren't soulmates.
Yeah.
Depending on your opinion of it.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Is that the end of our journey here? Was that our last question? Can you learn to be attracted?
But I would love to hear your guys' perspectives on, can you grow to be more attracted to people? You're enabling versus helping in relationships. Do you think that you should go back with an ex or stay friends with an ex? I'm so curious because we have come from a cult. So we have, I think, kind of similar perspectives. So I would love to hear your guys' perspectives. We're not right. We're not wrong. We all just have different opinions on our experiences in life. So please leave your comments. I'm going to be reading them.
Me too. Actually, I love hearing other points of view because I haven't figured my life out, and someone else has clearly got it together more than me. So
there has to be
someone.
Please help us. Leave it in the comments, please. Dear God.
All right. See you guys.
Love you guys. Bye. Bye.